Next speakers, your seats, please.
Excuse me.
You're on one this morning. Okay?
I am.
We need to calm down.
I thought you were gonna give me. I need to calm down. Thank you.
All right, so this training is basically the second portion of our training that happened in the fall. And really it just comes down to how we as teachers can effectively handle behavior within our classroom so that behavior doesn't become something that takes away from the learning environment, that reduces our ability to teach effectively, provide good instruction, and meet the needs of our students. And so the goal of today is for us to hopefully provide you with some extra strategies, some other tips, tricks, tools to be able to keep behavior to a minimum and encourage the positive behavior it is that we like to see within the classroom.
All right, guys. So the classroom needs assessment that we gave you all Tuesday, Mr. Jackson emailed out. If you guys have that, could you please get it out? And if you didn't get one or you forgot it, I do have a few extra you can share with somebody. You weren't supposed to turn it in. There is somebody that gave it to Mr. Jackson. It's on the back table.
Yeah, if you put yours in my box, I put it in the back table. I don't know whose it was.
You can just share with someone.
name?
And I
They
didn't
were turning
know.
it in, they were on time.
Greener, I didn't know if you guys were here today, so I apologize for not getting you guys one.
Correct. Thank you.
I think it was too nice.
So this needs assessment, which is kind of just to reflect and see how much structure you as a teacher need. And I would like to note that when it says like low support needs, medium support needs, that means more structure on the bottom of the first page. So you're supposed to fill this out, and every teacher is different. Like I was just reflecting on this when I did it. Like my tolerance for background noise might be different than my partner's. And so you're just kind of to do this to see what kind of structure you need in your classroom. And so what do you need as a teacher to best support your students? So if you guys want to discuss with your table real quick a few findings that you guys found or reflected about when you completed this, I'll give you guys like 30 seconds to just kind of discuss with the table mates what you noticed, some aha moments from your own needs assessment.
Table mates. Hello. Team lead.
I'm the maintenance. I gotta no.
I was in the middle. 36.
I was spitting. I was spitting.
Oh no! You need a lot of support?
I can do productive chaos, but like if it's not productive, I start pooping out.
I don't like it, but I know that like the kids are talking, they're working, like, and so it irritates me because it feels like it's not what it's supposed to be, but it's too louder than it should be. I just wish kids could be purposeful time, like have a quiet conversation versus, you know, talk. Yes. And so that's what I typically say to them. Like, can you just be purposeful? Like, we're talking yes. Like the whole awesome voice thing.
Because they all just talk over one another because
Yeah.
the table next to them is really loud.
Yeah.
And then they're just competing.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It doesn't upset me when they're talking about math and they're yelling, but I'm like, this is so loud, I can't hear your thoughts. I need to be
What about
able to hear
student?
my thoughts.
What about student support? I was low.
It was 25.
I was pretty low.
The next one.
Student risk factors.
Someone did add. Someone did add. I was 15, sorry.
Yes. Same. I feel like in general our classes are, and I even picked like my hardest class.
I just did that next 35.
I even like pictured my hardest class.
Yeah.
And even still, like, in general, they're not, and like 9 was hard to answer because it was the special ed services under emotional disturbance or autism.
Yeah, I did 10
that-
more because like that's typically what my load is, and like in like my average usually
I was like, 2?
All right.
But like ED or
I think a lot of
special ed
people
services
can
plus
see
but
that.
under ED or autism.
So just a couple
that's where
things I
can't
wanted
do it.
to point out. Me and Mr. Hanks were talking about the level of structure that you use. Like, and I know, like, you want to give students a certain amount of autonomy, and like some of you might have kids raise their hand to go sharpen a pencil, and some of you might not care about that. So we all have our different levels of that. But research does say that the more structure you provide, the better students are going to perform and succeed academically. And I also think we need to realize, like, for example, high structure needs for me as a teacher. But then the second 2 pages, the middle, more talks about what our client base, our students need. And so they kind of have to go hand in hand because of our students need high structure because of the makeup and the demographics. We have to keep that in mind, even if we are fine with the low structure. So you kind of have to know what your students need and so on and so forth. I know we all realize that. This is a time for us to reflect on it and to end the year well with that. So, moving right along. So this quote, I'll give you a second to read it.
Oh, then that thermostat is ice cold.
And so this ties back into, in November, me and Mr. Hanks presented on some of this stuff and how it talks about, like, you're the thermostat in the room. You make the temperature go up or down in your room. This kind of ties to that as well. So this was just a quote that was given to us, and hopefully you kind of remember how to moderate the temperature in your room.
And I think that's a lot of what it is that we're trying to do, right? Like, we want to be the trendsetter. We want to make sure that everybody within our room rises to our temperature, right? We're not coming in there and just gauging the room and us implementing into that. No, we got to make sure that, hey, we're at a certain level here, so let's make sure that we're all bringing our classroom culture, environment, whatever, up to the appropriate level. So again, going back to, a lot of this is going to overlap. Let's go back to our training that was in the fall, talking about the regulation cycle and regulation cycle for us. Ms. Winkle and I talked about it a lot. Teaching is one of probably many jobs, but the hardest, where we really have to leave what we have going on at home at the door. And that is so hard to do. And I understand that is just so difficult for some of us, because some of us are going through a ton. You know, life is hard and that, but we have to be our very best every day. And we ourselves need to go through this regulation cycle for us so that we can be regulated for our students and then help them go through that. So I think a lot of that comes from beginning on the empathy side, being able to show empathy, have empathy for others, have empathy for our students with what they're going through, building those relationships up so that we can begin to support students in their needs and whenever they're being deregulated, and then that also, of course, continues to help us be regulated for them and for their success. So going back and forth to our Tier 1 strategies, our strategies that we're going to implement for everyone and make sure that everyone is there. We had you guys just fill out that structure assessment, basically for structure within the classroom. The more structure we have, the more students know what we expect of them, the better off that they're going to be, the more successful they're going to be within the classroom. We need to continue to monitor, continue to practice, continue to say, hey, this is how we do things in the classroom. I know when we got back from winter break, probably all of us within that first day, we went over, hey, these are the expectations of the classroom. This is how you pick up the assignments when you walk in the door. This is how we do warm-ups in here, right? And I think continuing to address those is so important for these students, right? And especially as we get towards the end of the year, where they're starting to kind of derail, you know, our 8th graders starting to think about high school, 7th graders are thinking about being the top dog, 6th graders are tired of being, 6th graders and they want to move up, right? So continuing to teach and monitor those expectations, being engaging with all of our students, acknowledging them with students, acknowledging them with where it is that they're at. And then finally, I would say number 6 is probably kind of the thing that encompasses all of it. If we can build relationships with our students in a way that allows for us to show them that we care about more than just the fact that they have a 92 in our class, or that they show up on time, or that they always have a pencil, right? We care that they are in the theater production crew, or that they play football, or whatever that kind of looks like, that is what is going to make all of these strategies successful, and considering to make that a part of what it is that you do every single day.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that. I do think number 6, that's probably the most important thing, the building and sustaining relationships. You guys get to build relationships, I feel like, way more than, well, I feel like I don't get the opportunity as much since I moved out of the classroom. But when you build those relationships with the students, your heart just goes out to them. Like, what was it, 2 days ago? Y'all, I love Nitin. He's such a cool kid. And so, like, I think he wanted his trust card, or somebody wanted his trust card, because he never stays where he's supposed to be. I'll hold him accountable, but it breaks my heart to do that, because he's just so funny. So he had to forfeit his trust card because he can't stay in the cafeteria. But he's just such a cool kid, because I've invested in him and built a relationship with him and just got to know him a little bit better. But he walked up yesterday in the hallway, or to somebody, he's like, "You caught me without my trust card." He's just so funny. So just building the relationships with the students, I think it just builds a sort of like connection with the kids. You know, your heart goes out to them and you want them to succeed. And it makes it even harder to hold them accountable, but we will, and we do. For that relationship piece, they know you care, and we can go make those withdrawals. I know we'll talk about that later, deposits and withdrawals. So if I need to make that withdrawal with Nitin, he still knows I care about him. Relationships are key.
All right, now to the new part, because a lot of that was just reflection. So, STOIC. Anyone in here heard of STOIC? Or the acronym? It's another acronym.
Always another.
Let's go. So, STOIC is a proactive framework that is effective in changing behavior and motivation. And something that was brought to us when we had this training, and I was kind of thinking this is, well, what about, it's the same thing as CHAMPS, isn't it? And I was told that CHAMPS is more, when you go into a classroom, CHAMPS is what you see, whereas, and you make all these posters and you have all these sayings, where STOIC is more on the teacher side, where it's your process, what you're doing every day, your systems, your procedures. And so that's what we're going to kind of teach you guys about today, is STOIC, which is more about what you do as a teacher and the process that you have. You don't have to create any posters, put it on your wall. So that is the difference between STOIC and CHAMPS. And there's 5 key elements, because there's 5 letters. And so we're going to walk you through each of these. And again, it's just a proactive classroom management system. So the S stands for structure your classroom to promote responsible student behavior. So the way the classroom is set up, your physical arrangement, your scheduling, supervision patterns, that all can have a positive effect on behavior. So for example, in my classroom, I have a student that has to leave early every day, and he can talk a lot, so I literally put him by the door because I know then he won't make a scene when he has to leave early. That is my structure to promote positive behavior and to be proactive on issues that might come up. So that is what the S in structure, or in STOIC, stands for.
T stands for teach. Obviously, we want to teach in a way that provides engaging lessons and all that, but also teaching your expectations. And I think, and I'll be honest, sometimes I'm not the best at it, but teaching in a way that refers back to our treatment agreement sometimes, right? And being able to teach those types of expectations, or our cafeteria expectations, or the hallway expectations with the big posters that have been posted around campus, right? That is a way for us to reference the expectations that we have in a way that is clear, that is fair, right? We're not coming up with these rules and just pulling them out of thin air, and so that, Johnny thinks we're just picking on him. Well, no, these are what we agreed to from the beginning of the year, right? And so teaching those expectations within your classroom to continue to try to curb some of that misbehavior. O, okay, standing for observe. Whether students are meeting expectations, right? It's how we monitor in the classroom. I think one of the big things that is hard for really any of us, and I've already noticed me in this presentation doing it, right? I kind of stay up here when I'm like observing or whatever, I'll make the same kind of track. And so it's hard for you to observe, right? Sometimes students will catch on to, well, Mr. Hanks, he likes to go to this back corner, but then after he goes to this back corner, he walks over towards the bookshelf. So that means from the time that he walks from this corner to the bookshelf, I got some free time. And that's kind of where it's at, right? So in some of these observation strategies that we have to see whether or not our students are being successful and even kind of make it more interesting for us, let's be a little more random in the way that we observe, right? Not always on classroom relay, not always walking the same, 2 paths that we have whenever it is that we're monitoring. Just to be able to observe them, to monitor them, and see kind of what it is that they're doing. Make it fluid, I guess, as you would say.
Yeah, they always say you inspect what you expect. A little phrase for O.
The I's interact positively with students, which luckily we are going to be telling you all about PBIS later this morning. So that is kind of our positive behavior support that we're rolling out. And make sure that you not only interact with students positively in a, in contingent way? Is that the word I'm looking for? Like in contingent, like not just when they're doing well, like when you greet them at the door. I know a lot of you do that. Nebo is great at that. I see it all the time. And so you have that, and when students are complying, so contingent students, so make sure that you are doing both, and you have to fill their bucket. I think Jackson brought that up earlier, because you're going to need to make withdrawals later. And it's just like with relationships in life. You have to fill your bucket up so that you can later take out withdrawals. So that's what the I is all about, interacting positively. The C is to correct misbehavior fluently, be on automatic. You're an automatic pilot when you do that, and we're going to be talking more about different ways to correct it here in a second. Make sure that you correct it, move on, don't hold a grudge, don't take it personal. Make sure the more private it is, the better. I mean, yes, sometimes embarrassing the kid is a good thing, but also most of the time they respond better when you don't do it publicly. And then, I wrote something else. I said that. Just don't embarrass them all the time. So, 6th graders, 7th graders, probably don't embarrass. I feel like when I teach 8th grade, I can embarrass them a little more. I'm like, you can get embarrassed in high school, so you need to get ready for it.
8th grade! Yes!
I'm not in the mindset. Yeah, I do a little bit. So, that is autocorrect on autopilot, tapping them on the shoulder, giving them the 1, 2, 3, like, whatever. You all have different ways. All right.
Yeah, so just in addition to that, just correcting fluently, kind of as Ms. Winkle already stated, in the way that we do things, we can make a correction the biggest deal in the whole class and everybody sees it, and your whole entire lesson has gone astray because of the way that you corrected, right? A tap on the shoulder, a tap on the desk, pretty simple, pretty easy to make a correction, right? Coming up to somebody and closing their Chromebook in a fashion that's loud, probably not the best way to do that, right? Like you can make corrections in a way that are respectful to students, right? We're not wanting to disrespect our students or make them feel small, but in the same sense, getting them back on the right path and in the right place. So the way that you correct, doing it privately, as quickly as possible, make it brief, don't hold a grudge, calm, consistent, and again, that respectful manner. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pass out another activity for you to do. It's a STOIC, basically, application just talking about structuring your classroom, how you teach and how you observe and how you interact and how you correct. And so,
Thank you.
Take a few minutes. We'll do it for about 5, and then we'll.
I brought a pen.
Have it turn into talking and do discussion. So,
Did you bring
if
a
need a pen?
glitter
The Sheepers has extras.
I
and
do
so
not.
you can come.
I have one.
You can go with that.
I do have an extra
I'm very proud that I
pen,
brought
but if I
one.
don't get it back, I will fight.
Are you recording?
Yes.
Okay. That was one thing.
And
I was
on.
really nervous. I was nervous. I was halfway through.
You're at 21 minutes and
Perfect.
30 seconds.
Thank you so much.
I literally keep checking. Anytime you get an alert, I'm like, is it still recording? Is it still recording? Okay, put your name on there, people.
What's my current role? Teacher?
Yes. Inspiration to these. That's your role.
The date is 2 and the 16 is 24.
Thank you. That actually was doing the date as you said that. Okay, I got a text message. Ooh. Winkle, I think this is the cold front that's coming through from the Kansas. This is in Oklahoma.
Are you warm?
My
Weather.
son sent Iowa Iowa snow.
You're
He
doing
always
great.
sends pictures of the snow.
You are doing wonderful.
Good job.
8th grade is killing the game.
One step or two every day. Like the way I start class.
My pest control guy came today, and he was like, so I just finished, but your card is expired.
Can you be normal for 1 minute?
My card expired in December.
I hate that.
Yes, I had to go deal with my gym membership that I haven't been to in an embarrassingly long time. I was kind of hoping to just cancel it.
I'm thinking about doing the Frisco whatever.
If I lived closer, it would be a better, easy way to go straight at 405.
Non-contingent attention. Winky. Winkle. I have a question. Non-contingent attention.
That's what
So clarify for me.
non-contingent is when you just tell them, hey, how are you? How was your weekend?
Okay,
Like,
so
contingent
the
is when-
relationship building.
Yeah.
So non-contingent is building or not or negative.
Yeah, contingent is based off if they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay. Thank you.
I had to sign my first Seahawks.
I know. I'm not hard.
This kid has been missing an assignment for over a week now,
Yeah,
and I
I'm
know.
not mean at all.
Well, I was like, if I don't have it, you owe me it as a Seahawk. And he goes, just give me the Seahawk. I said, okay. I was just laughing at your comment. Not laughing at you. Who is this? What do you think?
Put your finger on your nose, and then once he does that, you don't you know. I was gonna leave it, and you told me those, and I was like, no, I'm gonna this. And then what did I say to him the other week? I was like, this maid.
It is recording, I promise. I promise, I'm doing my job. I'm very nervous, and I can't even touch the water. Yeah.
Thanks,
I did it last time, but I have the setup. Oh yes, I need more time. I've been talking.
Remember, non-contingent is
Don't wait for her.
when you interact with students no matter how they're acting.
I'm a slow reader.
You say hello to the good kids and the bad kids.
Just teach you closer to each other.
Contingent is when you are
I'm as close as you
interacting
can
with them
get.
because of based on the behavior. Contingent upon the behavior, says Mr. Hanks.
Those
I
are
have a couple questions about those words.
those are big words for Elmo.
Even the ILO teacher.
Big word for Elmo.
Big words for Elmo. Did you put something in your drink?
Oh, no. Sorry.
All right. Well, most of y'all are kind of already done. If you're not, then that's okay. But in relation to this Stoic
know they've defined
portion,
contingent so many times.
looking at kind of Frisco as a whole, and we all have our own hot buttons. I get that. And if you want to focus on your specific hot buttons and things that happen within the classroom that just really get you going, that's totally fine. But these are the 5 most popular hot buttons for kind of Frisco ISD as a whole. Leading, assigned area or seat, learning out, work refusal, misuse of technology, and then arguing with the teacher. And so using your Stoic sheet that you just kind of filled out, pick a hot button or 2, and how does your structure in your classroom help to negate a hot button? How does your teaching, observation, interactions, and then the C being context, Mr. Jackson has a comment on the C, but how does that help you to curb some of these hot buttons and some of these hot button issues that we kind of see pretty frequently? And how can we adjust the things it is that we do within our classroom to help students negate from that and be, you know, kind of in the lane that they're supposed to be in, right? Riding that lane. So, yeah, Mr. Jackson, if you want to talk about the C, and so real quick, just as they're thinking about that correction.
So they list the C as correct, but I wish they would choose a different word than correct. I would like to change it out for like coach, because that's what we are. We want to coach fluently, because a lot of these kids that come here, they may not get coached at home on how to behave properly in school or in society. A lot of them just get their coaching from what, social media? That's not appropriate most of the time. I even worked with my own 6th grade daughter because I saw up there it said like paraverbal, which is like tone and inflection. That's something like my daughter, she's very black and white. And so it's like when she speaks in a tone that I may conceive disrespectful, she doesn't understand that. She's like, well, I just said what I said. Well, it's the way you said it that was disrespectful. So we're all coaches to these kids and coaching them on the misbehavior and how to correctly behave when something happens. So I think that I don't like the word correct. I like coach them up. Because you guys as coaches know if you coach athletics, you see something and they do something wrong, well, we're going to coach them to do it correctly so we can all function. So we're all coaches, we're all behavior coaches here. Even though our business cards may not say that, but we're all behavior coaches in middle school. Lord knows they need it.
Thank you, sir. All right, so we'll take 5 minutes real quick, and just like I said, any of those hot button activities, how does your stoic within your classroom or within your controlled area, how does that curb some of those hot buttons? Talk, discuss things that work for you, where it works, what helps and what does not.
Or what adjustments do you need to make
Okay.
to make some of those hot button behaviors go away?
I think I'm pretty good at I don't know that any of those are my hot buttons, except for like misuse of tech. I will literally stand there and be like, computers. Most of the kids do it, and then I start. Do we call out names? Or should we say, check your group? I mean, because I think the kids like smack computers.
I start out with like a general, hey, close your Chromebooks, you're not supposed to have them.
Yeah,
And I maybe do
right now.
2 general. And then when it hasn't been done, then I call them out specifically and say,
Yeah, I think that's
Vishnu, close your Chromebook, please.
Yeah.
Raga, please close
What
your
paper?
Chromebook.
Very upsetting. Very upsetting.
This is
But phones, I think,
Phones are really
it really, as soon as you take one, they
Yeah.
know you mean business.
Yeah, I think I've taken 2 all year, and that is me being the AirPods
Yeah.
this semester. The AirPods have just gotten out.
I do think I probably should have assigned seagulls for behavior, and I don't. I don't know why I don't. I think I worry about ruining relationships with people.
It's the parents that I really just don't like.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to call home and say,
I know.
hey, your kid was acting ridiculous today.
Yeah.
This is the line they crossed.
Yeah.
Because at this point now, it's like, truly it should be C-Hall behavior, but I haven't emailed home.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's more of a phone call than an email, because words just get misconstrued and parents are going to be on the defensive.
Yeah. Probably sign a seagull. Unless it's something that's been recurring.
Yeah.
And, like, if this happens again, please just let us know and we can have a seagull over.
Work refusal is rare. I think I have one student that like refuses to do work, and that's only if he's had a bad day.
I think it's late work would be on my list. And
Yeah.
and my hot button issue is when they are mean to each other. Like that I will immediately that will make me raise my voice, that will make me call them out in front of their friends. I don't know. And I don't know that that's I don't know what's a better response to that, but I don't know. That's a hot button for me. When they bully or they're mean to each other and I witness it. I hate that. I probably need to pull them in the hallway. But I mean, pulling them in the hallway is still public enough.
It's still public enough, but I won't have that. I have a couple
All right.
kids that have like
Let's
address
keep it
behavior
moving.
discreetly or whatever accommodation.
So now we have a lovely, just to kind of wrap up this little section because we're about to move on to behaviors. So you must be the change you wish to see in the world. And again, you are the thermostat in your classroom. You control the temperature. And I know that change is hard. And I know like making a new seating chart would be hard, but sometimes you got to do it. Or greeting your kids at the door every day might be hard because you want to look at your email every day. Like, but if you want to make your classroom better, then you have to make these changes. Some of the ones that we're suggesting are not, and like when we tell you about the PBIS system today, like, yes, it's going to be a different, little extra on you maybe, but if we want to change the culture here, we got to do these things. Otherwise, we're going to just stay right here. Okay? All right. Now, and then when you are coaching and correcting the behavior, remember that you gave everyone one of these, right? Yeah. What's teacher managed and what's office managed, because when you are correcting the behavior, coaching the behavior, you have to know what do I need to take care of and what needs to be sent to the office. So just make sure that you have this close and you reference it when you need to. And if you don't have one of these, let me know, or Mr. Hanks know, and we can get it to you. All right. Mr. Hanks and Mr. Jackson just passed out this lovely article. And so I'm going to give you time to read, and the whole point as you read this is at the bottom, there's a behavior column. As you read this, please write any challenging behaviors that you notice as you read this article. And then stop. Once you read and notate any challenging behaviors in the behavior column, and then we'll tell you what to do next. So I'll give you 3 minutes to read and fill out the challenging observed behaviors.
There should be 5. Just to help you out there.
Okay. I don't know what you would call this behavior.
What?
Loud sigh.
Ah, that's what I was putting.
Just loud sigh.
Mm-hmm.
You did not spell that right. Are we just doing
I
the
think we're just doing the photo, and then we're going to talk about how about it.
I feel like there should be a limit on how long this video can record. I don't know. Is there a limit on how long this video needs to be? I just didn't know if it's gonna cut off at a certain point.
No, just keep going. It needs to be, technically it's like 45-ish minutes or something.
Okay. As long as you can get it from your phone to whatever. We're good.
I think I did a great job picking out these timers. Okay, so we wanted you to catch. So if you did not catch these, please add them or
Well, I've
put them on
already-
your list. These are the 5 main behaviors we're going to talk about. Hopefully you caught the loud sigh, the tapping pencil, not working on the warm-up, talking to peers, and confrontation with peers. So those are all the challenging behaviors. I'm sure there might have been more, but those are the 5 that we want you to catch, because now we're going to give you different strategies in dealing with these behaviors. So,
And kind of as we're diving into these strategies,
She said that doesn't bother her. I was proving it does.
thank you, Ms. Rivers. Yeah, plan ignoring. That would have been great right there.
I didn't do that.
So,
Interactive
before we
audience.
start, there's many different ways for us to correct and coach the same behavior, right? So you may not agree with what it is that we say that the plan ignoring would be successful for, whether it would be, if I believe it'd be successful for the tapping of the, tapping pencil, but you don't, that's okay, right? There's gonna be some overlap to where there's 5 different strategies here. If plan ignoring doesn't help with, someone tapping their pencil, maybe a praise around will, right? So we're gonna give you some different strategies that should fit your mold to correct the behavior, okay? So beginning with plan ignoring. It's effective with things that are low intensity. I think we all can identify students who are loud for the purpose of getting attention, right? And that is the only thing they want to do is make the class laugh or get you off task or anything like that. It is so effective for us to not give them that gratification, basically, right? Like that's kind of what the plan ignoring is. You're loud and you're a distraction, but you're not going to keep us from doing what it is that we're doing as a class, right? And so that's kind of where the plan ignoring comes in. Low intensity, not super disruptive. And again, those attention-seeking behaviors is ineffective whenever we just completely ignore them, right? You can ignore it for now, but then that's where those, preemptive, coming around, tapping on the desk, tapping the shoulder, giving a look, right? Those nonverbal cues will be able to help. And then, of course, anything that is unsafe that absolutely requires some, a conversation to be had, plan ignoring obviously wouldn't be the best strategy for that. So, with plan ignoring and understanding a little bit about what it is, the idea is for you to, in your own words and what you feel would be best, where would you feel, based on the 5 behaviors that you listed, where would plan ignoring be successful? Would it be successful for tapping the pencil, for him talking with his peers, the confrontation with his peers, right? Just real quick, what do you believe that it would be successful for us?
I don't know if any of these don't bother other people.
And
Maybe the sign.
this is what
That's what I
we feel like would be best effective for. But again, like Hank said, it's kind of how you feel to your classroom. So, and then the discussion we're going to do later. So we're going to move on to the next strategy. It's called praise around. So you reinforce a student who is engaged appropriately near someone who is engaged inappropriately. I do this all the time when I walk in and I have a warm-up on the board and kids aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing except for like 2 or 3, and I'll be like, hey, good job, Brad. Thank you for doing your warm-up today. Or good job, thanks for doing your homework last night. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's basically what it is. You're praising the kids around that are doing the correct thing to try to get the ones that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing to do the correct behavior. And then as soon as that target student, the bad student, starts doing the right thing, of course you praise them as well. So it keeps happening. What? Sorry. Badly behaved student? Okay. So go ahead and mark now which of those 5 behaviors that you had would that be effective for to do the praise round. I'll give you all a moment. Again, it kind of depends on what you can tolerate and what you can't. What would be effective for a praise round in your classroom?
I think you could just repeat for all of them except for maybe that arguing.
think it's the same ones.
loud side.
All right, the ones that we decided were very similar to the first one. We said that the praise round would be effective for the loud side, tapping of the pencil and talking to the peers to be able to act as a corrective behavior. Next one we're going to talk about is successive approximations, okay? And a lot of these do begin to kind of overlap with one another, but this is about basically praising targeted behavior, right? A little bit pretty similar to the praise around, but this one is specifically going back to, hey, our targeted behavior in this classroom is that we do the warm-up when we walk in, right? And you are specifically using a strategy or a classroom procedure that you use to reference the positive behavior. And when you see Johnny or June or whoever else doing the right things, referencing that. Or whenever there is positive interactions, using the treatment agreement. I'm so glad that we have this in the classroom and referencing the positive material that we have to give them the corrective behavior so that when Johnny's doing it right and I say, hey, you're doing a great job, their peer that's sitting next to them realizes this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? So it's almost, in a way, an indirect way to be able to correct behavior because you are praising the person who's doing it right, and that student who maybe is doing it wrong will recognize, hey, I'm not being praised right now. I'm not doing the right thing. And so hopefully they will get on board and find that correct their behaviors almost on their own. So that's the goal for the successive approximation, okay? You can go ahead and decide which one you feel that would be a successful for as well.
I think that's about the
I think I
reading
went too far.
doing the warm up.
No, I didn't go far enough. Say that again.
I think it's about the warm up. This is our structure for
Yes. I went too far.
So,
Void
successive
word.
approximations, we noted that it would be for now we're going to warm up, competition with peer, and talks to peers. That's what was said. So, precision commands. I'll give you a moment to kind of look at this flow chart. So basically, precision commands is the first time you ask nicely, you say please. Let's see, please do your warm up. You wait 3 seconds. You give wait time. We all know about wait time. They do it correctly. You say good job, way to go. Here's your ticket for doing the right thing. And if they're not, then you become a little more clear. Like the directions are, you're supposed to be doing your warm up on your desk, and then sit quietly. You wait 3 seconds, give them wait time, and then if they don't do what they're supposed to do again, then you give them a consequence. So be very specific with your commands. And again, it's like you give them a freebie the first time, and then the second time they don't do it again, then they have a consequence. So this is kind of is an example. I'll give you a second to read that. Again, it's just saying, what do you want students to do? Give them some time. Tone, again. And then ask them again. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then they give them a consequence. Really quick. Actually, you can go back a slide. Make sure when you give the first one, don't make it a question. Like, for example, is it time to get your work done? Don't make it a question when you ask them the first time. Don't make it a threat. Like, I'm gonna give you lunch detention if you don't do your warm-up right now. And then don't make it like an invite, like say like, let's begin our warm-up now. Like the first one again, especially if you're trying to correct someone that's not doing it consistently, first time just say, please do your warm-up. Give them wait time. Second time, say the expectation is that you do your warm-up. Give them wait time. And then if they still don't do it, give them a consequence. It's all very logical. I'm sure most of you do this every day. We just put a name on it. So go ahead and mark any of those behaviors that you feel like Precision commands would work, mark them off.
All right, the two that we said that precision commands would be successful for would be not working on the warm-up and then confrontation with peers. And kind of going quick because the precision commands and the logical consequences kind of pair together, right? When we give a precision command, we are, hey, this is what the expectation is. You need to get back on your warm-up. You need to be doing these things. And when they don't follow those precision commands, we need to be providing them with logical consequences that are helping in coaching the effective behavior. We need to make sure that the consequences that we dish out are respectful, that they're relevant, right? If somebody's sharpening the pencil when it is that they're not supposed to, that's not deserving of a C Hall or an ISS, right? So we have to make sure that our consequences are logical in a way that kind of meets the damage done. So make sure they're respectful, relevant, and then that's that realistic portion that they aren't.
Catch me on the right days.
Respectful, always trying to be respectful with students, using a calm tone, the way it is that you talk, focusing on the behavior, not the student, right? It's so easy for, as Winkle has said earlier, kind of that bank to be built up, right, in a negative fashion, right? We've had many negative interactions with a student over the past week, month, whatever that looks like, and sometimes we can go to, hey, you just did this, and now we're taking out the week's worth of frustration over this one issue. And that's not fair, right? That's not fair to the student. And us as the adult, we're not regulated in that way, right? We're not regulated if we respond that way. We need to make sure that we are responding to the student in that behavior, in that instance for that one singular problem, okay? We can't let their, deeds that they've done wrong be the reason that they are now getting a consequence, right? So responding in a respectful fashion, what it is that they are actually doing, making it relevant, specific to what they just did, right? It's all kind of overlapping, but specific to the issue at hand now, in this moment. How can I coach this and make this be something not a part of our future in this classroom or in any other classrooms that, they enter into in the future. And then realistic. We provide them with, you did this, so this, right? You need to complete this assignment by this time. We are clear with our expectations. We don't make it unrealistic. We don't say, hey, you need to turn this into me by the end of the day when it's 8th period, right? You need to make sure that you are giving them consequences that work with what it is that you're wanting to accomplish, but also are fair, again, to the student. And finally, the logical consequences section for you, be able to fill out wherever you feel that a logical consequence paired potentially with a precision command would be effective.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Okay, would you like an enrichment activity? We have one up here for you, so you can come grab one if you'd like. Thank you so much for your time. How long do they have? 10 minutes.
Yay, Winkle and Eighth group!